esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Welcome back, already. Day 3 continues here at the Starladder Season 11 LAN Finals. Gods joined by Molini, Zyori, as well as KOTLGuy. We're halfway through the day. 2 BO3s left, and it's MVP Phoenix. They've been the talk of the town so far on Day 3. Ben, are you impressed?
Yeah, I am. It's their first rematch, and VP.Polar to put them in their grave.
That doesn't happen very often. You're usually that cynical, pointing out all the negatives. I like this.
They sucked last Starladder, so it doesn't take that much.
There's that, Ben, I know.
There's that classic
It's much better than they were before.
That's
okay,
the
we're getting somewhere.
It's funny because last Starladder they played at, they didn't win a single game, but everyone's like, they still made a good showing. Like, MVP Phoenix represented Korean Dota well. It's like, yeah, I mean, they didn't humiliate themselves, but they still lost every game. Like,
yeah.
But Korean Dota on the rise.
Absolutely. Now, they're going to have their work cut out for them coming into this next series against Asus.Polar. This is the team that knocked them down into the lower bracket. As we've talked about a couple times now, the drafting style, completely different. They tried to kind of counteract their enemy instead of drafting in their comfort zone, but now that they've switched it up and gone back to their roots, they've been looking damn strong.
Yep. And on the other side, Asus.Polar had a good Day 1 2-0 victory, but Day 2, that was when they dropped to the lower bracket, losing to NIP 2-0. And they turned things around so far on Day 3, winning their opening series today. So they've been a very hot and cold team. When they look good, they look great on Day 1 as well as today on Day 3. But Day 2, they went on tilt against NIP. That's something that they can't afford to have happen again.
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Vlad a little bit this morning, and he said last night after the matches they were in a state of disarray. There was a lot of arguing amongst the team, some finger pointing, and tilt is the appropriate way to describe that series last night. So
that means that it's very important for MVP to have a very strong game number 1. That means if they can really take it to Polar, put them on tilt, then they have a better chance to kind of just finish them off for game number 2. And if Polar, it could work the other way. If Polar then come out with a win in game number 1, then they could just hold that stride and keep on going, maybe similar to what we saw earlier against Fire.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the talk of this tournament. It seems like momentum is the name of the game. If you win that first game, statistically, you're pretty damn likely to go 2-0.
I don't even think it's that we're seeing big mismatch in skill. It's just the fact that you win game 1, you get that confidence, you figure out your opponents. I think that's been more about I think it feels to me that's been more about just having that 1-0, figuring out your opponent rather than being clearly better than them. I don't feel like it's been 2-0 stomped because there's been a big skill mismatch.
No, definitely not. I mean, we've talked a couple times about how even these teams are. If you are into the ELO system and you're a Gosu Gamers Net fan, these teams are like in order of rankings, like 7th through 12th, 7th through 13th. It doesn't really get much more even than this, although less the stand-in factor, perhaps, as we've talked about a few times. Well,
Asus.Polar, we're going to see what they have prepared for MVP Phoenix. We can see the team here. DK, Phobos, FNG, Illidan, Mag, as well as Lil. What kind of stands out for you, Ben? What do these guys need to do to beat MVP as far as from the drop point of view, playstyle point of view? What's kind of the key points for this CIS squad?
I think getting their hands on Brew is really important, and this secures them a mid lane that QO can't take advantage of. And as we saw in game number 1 with the Slark, sure, he didn't do too well in the first like 5 or 6 minutes, but after that he was able to put a lot of pressure on Dendi, and after that, he went crazy on the PA in game number 2. And Illidan, let's see, we haven't seen any Naga this tournament, I guess to a lot of people's surprise, but the Slark will be a hot point of contest in between QO and Illidan, so I think it's going to be a first phase pickup.
Yeah, I feel the 2 heroes that are going to be hotly contested is Slark as well as Io. Both teams play the EO.
I think EO's going to be banned.
Yes, most likely it's going to be first pick or banned out. So
you don't think Brew will be?
Brew probably banned out as well.
Brew's been played in.
Oh man, I've got the stats here. Only 7 games. He's 4-3.
He was picked.
Well, that might not count the last series. Let me see how updated we are.
But it's been like every MVP game.
Every MVP game.
Apart from day 1, maybe. I don't think they're playing Brew much on day 1. But from day 2, day 3, MVP have always picked it or had it banned out. So
yeah,
I feel like because MVP is playing, it's going to be a hot pick. And also
VP.Polar picked it twice in a row today.
Yeah, so both teams are big Brew pickers. They're big Slark pickers, IO pickers. They have very similar heroes in common. It's going to be interesting to see who gets what in this series.
And with those kind of respect bans, you might allow something through that you didn't really want to. I mean, trying to remember, did they ban out the Warlock in the previous series? Did Na'Vi, just anticipating it might be something they go to?
It was the 5th ban and 4th ban.
Yeah, it was always banned in one of the later phases.
Yeah, you risk letting something through that maybe they also have in their arsenal. You know, anticipating that they're just going to be good with those kind of usual go-tos, whether Wisp and Slark, then you allow like the Brew through or something like that. So.
And that's part of what makes MVP Phoenix so dangerous is, sure, sometimes they'll first pick that Warlock if it's an option, and other times they'll just ignore it completely, let it get into that 5th ban territory. It's a hero worth banning against them, but deciding which phase and when is kind of an art form.
I don't know if MVP Phoenix can go for their Warlock 5-man push strat against VP.Polar. I feel like, or Asus.Polar. I feel like they're going to be putting a lot more pressure on the lanes. Not going to be letting Warlock farm up Ag's Refresher like he did in the series they won.
PR almost won against it, so I'm almost certain that VP will do very well versus it.
I'd be surprised. I feel like they're not worried about a first stage pick Warlock. Maybe 3rd, 4th ban is a Warlock, but even there, I feel like VP.Polar might just say, just take it. We'll deal with the Warlock.
Yeah, Asus.Polar does tend to be a little more aggressive, especially if they get that Wisp. They love to hit that 10, 15-minute window timing, sometimes even earlier if they get a little momentum. And they're a team that tends to be unrelenting once they start to get ahead.
I think they also need AA for Lil. We haven't seen Lil, kind of hot and cold as VP.Polar has been, but I think it's really good versus MVP's playstyle of 5-man grouping up, taking down towers.
We have not seen much Ancient Apparition this tournament. He has been banned out in a lot of the cases where it seems like he would have been a really good pick, but he's actually only been played in 3 of the games so far in this event. So maybe he'll slip by in this draft.
Another hero that just popped there for March is Terrorblade. We haven't seen a Terrorblade, and that's something which March does pull out every now and then. I guess with MVP, it's always the trade-off of QO and March, who's playing the carry, who's playing the Space Creator. So if they go Slark, Terrorblade kind of fits, but not really. So
I think with that recent change to not just Terrorblade, but pretty much any illusion-heavy hero, maybe also the reason we don't see a lot of Naga, it could affect it a bit. They've been nerfed down quite a bit, so that sieging ability could be a bit difficult to work with. So.
Yeah, I mean, what is the ideal environment for a Terrorblade? We've seen him pick kind of hit or miss. I know Loda's played him a little bit on this patch.
Drow's been substituted a lot for Terrorblade. When Terrorblade would have been a good pick.
Her, if she gets him in, I believe now they changed so that her illusions do get the marksmanship aura as well. So,
but what are the kind of heroes or strategies that Terrorblade is particularly strong against?
I mean, it's just ending the game early and putting a lot of pressure in that safe lane and hitting that timing with Manta Scotty, 30 minutes. We can also see a very early Roshan, but I think that the heroes that he has a lot in common with Lycan and Drow Ranger, and oftentimes those two are better choices considering that Terrorblade's been touched in the negative direction a couple of patches and Drow in the up and up.
Yeah, Terrorblade's notorious for that, being a super squish master in that early phase, and I think he can be a little more punishable than the Drow as well as the Lycan.
I think a good pick that I saw utilized very nicely in game number 1, the previous seed for MVP, is Axe. They got a hold of that Axe. It worked really, really well, and it was just a lot of momentum going their way. Both these teams love it, so it's another one that we'll have to see which team is going to prioritize banning it or maybe just grabbing it for themselves.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I want to bring up Venomancer again. We didn't see him in that last series at all. MVP Phoenix, have they been known to run the Veno a little bit? Or
they're
are
not Veno pickers.
No, not Veno pickers?
Neither are Na'Vi, so I feel like that just wasn't who they considered. DK Phobos played an amazing Veno early today. It's not really an Asus.Polar pick, but they can run it.
They pick it a lot.
Oh,
they pick it a fair amount.
Yeah, that was the first game today. They did that 5th pick Veno, and it was sort of like the perfect 5th pick to go with that draft.
They don't prioritize, I guess, is why.
They don't pick it very early.
It's not like NIP where they'll pick it in the first pick stage generally, but
yeah, definitely not the core of their strategy. Another hero, a key hero for Asus.Polar, the Dazzle. We see them pick up the Dazzle very early on, and some teams prioritizing the Dazzle ban really early on in the draft. Sometimes even a first ban if you really don't want to go up against the Shadow Priest.
Nope. Here we go. Players putting on their earbuds and headsets, getting that soundproofing going.
Predictions, guys.
Yeah, we're loading in. Let's get some predictions here.
I'm going to go the opposite of what Ben says, because that's what I should have done last game. I've been doing it all day long, all tournament long, and it's worked every time, and I didn't go opposite there. He said 2-0 Na'Vi, I'm like...
2-1 Polar.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. 2-1 Polar for me as well.
That feels like the pretty safe prediction.
All right, 2-1 MVP.
I'm going to go 2-0 MVP. I'm feeling it.
Fine, I'm just going to go 2-0 Polar.
You're stepping it
Screw
up?
MVP.
Gotta 2-0 MVP then.
All right. 2-0 MVP. We'll see. Who's the contrarian this time?
We'll find out.
I'm 100% wrong.
All right.
Don't worry.
Ben 0 for 0 for 8.
It's been a tough event for Ben.
I got fire versus Hellraisers.
Okay.
They were underdogs.
Congraties. All right, guys. I think it's time for a break and time to load into our game.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Guys, when we come back, we'll have our first game 1 of this video 3.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to load into our third best of 3 of the day. Elimination on the line. This is the end of the sadness here, KOTLGuy. This is the last elimination match we're going to have today. So, Asus.Polar, MVP Phoenix. Predictions are in. Let's see who's going to be right.
Absolutely. And I'm very curious. I think the draft is going to be of the utmost importance. We have very similar play styles coming from both sides. Though as of recent, it feels like it's just more about we got to make sure we protect the hell of Ilden. That guy right there.
Oh,
he knows how to really take it to the promised land, but we got to make sure that he has as smooth of a path as possible. And
yeah.
Well, as we get ready to hop into the draft, MVP has been a team that is not afraid to let the Wisp through, and they do it again here. So Polar, grab it up immediately, and, well, look at this. We get the cousins, Axe and Disruptor. I learned this last time when I was casting with Gods, rather, and I want to say, I already forgot the name of the race. Udlati? The Udlati clan, I believe what it is. Axe and Disruptor, though.
Very exciting. Yes, indeed.
For all you lore fans out there.
All those hardcore Dota 2 lore fans, indeed. I feel like MVP Phoenix also have that similar flavor. You're talking about Illidan and Asus.Polar being a key part of their strategy. QO is that playmaker for MVP Phoenix. And we saw Na'Vi in Game 1 make some effort to try and shut down QO, and of course that can backfire. But the games that really get out of control are when he's getting solo kills in the mid, moving around, and that is a snowball player you need to put some effort into keeping down.
This is scary, man. Wisp and Brew handed over to Polar, right, to lead things off.
Yeah,
something that Merlini had pointed out is something you might want to consider banning if you're going to be confident to let something like a Wisp through, but also letting through the Brew. They banned out the Mag first. And Polar isn't really one to kind of prioritize getting a Mag quickly. Yeah, Mag has played Mag, but usually when they go for it, it's more like second phase, and it kind of like fits.
Yeah.
It's just not first priority like something like Na'Vi do.
They draft the Mag similar to how they draft the Venomancer. If they have a good draft for it, if it really fits, they'll go for it, but not something they prioritize right out of the gate. The FNG Wisp, I've sort of been joking a bit recently that this is the new Big Daddy Wisp a little bit, where you just want to ban this hero out against this guy because he's out of control. There's a lot of good Wisp players in this tournament, but FNG, I would say, is definitely at the top, one of the best.
He's a good caretaker, man. Serious babysitter, so selfless, and Wisp is the definition of all those. Yeah. So it works out beautifully. And as we go through the rest of these bans here, we'll check it out on the side of Polar. Got to get rid of that Slark. Both teams love it. MVP certainly do, so we got to get rid of that. And the Ember Seer, which we saw QO on day number 1. Yeah, they didn't get the win, but we got to see QO really go on a tear with the heroes, so definitely very scary. Got to get rid of that one. On the other side, MVP Phoenix, they ban out the Dazzle, which is intriguing because normally it's, I imagine, FNG's grab, but they have lately been picking 2 pretty selfless defensive kind of supports, so maybe it's just better to be safe than sorry, banning out that Dazzle. And of course, they got to get rid of Tiny just because, there's a Wisp after all. But there's also the scare of the ever so popular gyrocopter, which has been picked up pretty often.
Yeah, MVP banning out the Tiny here, hoping perhaps that Asus.Polar won't first pick the Wisp and they can grab it themselves. But here's an interesting fourth ban.
I couldn't help it. Like
Sven, I wish we had a camera shot for that. It was like the dance game.
Like it was I smelled a bad fart. I was just like, ooh, what?
Oh, what's going on there?
Sven?
Now, Wisp Sven is surprisingly potent.
Yes.
Sven is definitely a hard carry, and if he starts balling out of control when he gets 6-slotted, that's a beefcake that you do not want to go man mode with at all. So perhaps MVP Phoenix have some history with the hero and just don't want to tango.
I guess you could say a bit of history. The last time we really saw Sven kind of in the limelight was when Death Prophet used to be picked up very, very frequently. And she was very susceptible to being bursted down. And Sven offers heavy burst, and he offers the bonus armor, not just to himself, but to his allies to kind of withstand the exorcism. And Phoenix used to run Death Prophet very, very frequently. So maybe there's history there.
Yep.
But very questionable. Very, very curious about that one.
When I see Sven Wisp, I think of Alliance, honestly. I think of They were the team that I saw running it a lot. Probably just my odd sample of games that I got to cast, but it's definitely potent. I have seen that strategy wreck.
Well, we'll
so MVP Phoenix, they will get their signature Warlock here with the third pick. We talked about them prioritizing it sometimes in the first few picks, and you know, I'm not surprised that Asus.Polar let it through just based on how amazing Kua has been with the Slark as well as the Ember Spirit. But PA, still in the pool, another hero that QO has been pretty successful with this tournament, especially in that last series.
He loves to go man mode with those kind of heroes, too. Actually, pretty much any hero he gets a hold of, he loves to go man mode. And we heard it yesterday in Heem's interview. This is a team that just loves to fight. Love to fight, which could work the other way. Polar not a team that really like to fight too much early. They're like, we like to be more patient, more methodical, more technical, and then Illidan usually kind of brings it home later. Though, I say that, and you give Illidan something like a Starladder, and as soon as he gets that Blink Dagger, he just absolutely goes batshit crazy. So.
Yeah, I mean, Asus.Polar, like I said, they're a team that's not afraid to do that face rush strategy that's really been successful in a lot of these games where they get that trio of Blink Daggers, maybe a duo, and they just go running in. And if you're not ready for it, you can get caught with your pants around your ankles. Asus.Polar thinking hard about this third pick, but settle on the Shadow Demon.
All right, Shadow Demon. Very intriguing here. I guess one of the first things that pops out to me is being able to use that disruption even on someone like an Axe. Then you get the benefit of those Axe illusions, which certainly could add a little bit of a spin flavor on even your own side.
Well, you can hear the Russian casters excited about the PA pick here. That was a, whoa! They remember in last game,
They know the man mode that Kyo can bring with the PA.
The manliest PA. I hope he's got the PA set from the Summit 2 bundle with the mutton chops, the PA man set.
The Wolverine
kind of chops. It would be so appropriate for the way he plays this hero.
Yeah. But no, it's all about the Arcana. Who are you kidding?
True. It's all about the Arcana. Yeah, you're right. Who am I kidding?
You got to be flashy.
Oh, boy. So Shadow Demon could also be the beginnings of some illusion setup. I feel like we can't underestimate the power of the defensive disruption and what you can do with those illusions. We saw a couple of clutch plays, I believe it was yesterday against the Venomancer. You can kind of self-deny yourself with the illusions and some cute things you can do there.
Yeah, it's very defensive, so that's just the black and white of it is probably they're just looking to go more defensive again. Or, hey, you know, I have seen the Shadow Demon run side by side with the Terror Blade that we are questioning that could work nicely, but
all right,
Spirit Breaker.
Base Cow, the Lantern Man, going to be the fourth pick for Asus.Polar. And before we talk about him, I just want to reiterate that remember last time we saw Shadow Demon on Asus.Polar, it was disastrous. That was the game where they drafted the Tusk. That was game 2 against NIP, which actually knocked them down to the lower bracket. So a hero that they have maybe a rocky history with. Of course, the Tusk, I think, a little more oddball than the Shadow Demon in that game, but a point of reference worth mentioning. Spirit Breaker, though. We have not seen any Spirit Breaker this turn. I believe this is the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
I asked Mike earlier, because he's he loves Spirit Breaker.
Oh, yeah.
He used to run it all the time, and even teams, at least in the North American side of things, would respect Bandit out early on. I asked him, where's the Shadow Breaker, or Spirit Breaker, Mike?
The Shadow Breaker.
And by quote, he's a shit hero. So we'll see.
His second best hero is a shit hero. That's great.
Yeah, shit hero. I'm like, oh, what about this? Shit hero. He just doesn't care for it. But
I wish we could tempt Mike to get on the mic and cast with us, because that's the kind of insight that we need in these casts. He needs to tell us who the shit heroes are, because we clearly can't tell for ourselves.
Oh, you know what? That is worthy to know. Hey, Phoenix, they ban out the Chaos Knight, which is something that Polar went for previously, even without the Wisp. But that was also a game where they did come up short, and it was just a little too rough. I believe that was game number 1.
Yeah.
And, we truck on through here. The Witch Doctor, the last grab I certainly like from Phoenix, works beautifully against the Wisp and the Tether, being able to utilize that Coconut. And, of course, on the other side now, you're going to have the Morphling grabbed up for Illidan.
Okay, so Morphling, very weak against silences, as we're all pretty well aware. That means he's not going to be able to morph. Disruptor, traditionally a hero that's pretty good against Morphling.
Yeah. And Elder Titan, but we don't see that hero anymore.
Yeah, well, Elder Titan, he's disappeared. I forgot he was even in the pool. Yeah. But a good pick, I think, here for Asus.Polar, and Illidan going to be doing some work on the Morphling. He'll have a Wisp buddy to tether around, so Morphling already pretty elusive and pretty difficult to kill. So with that tether, with the overcharge, this could be pretty scary. Looking at these drafts, I feel like it's all about momentum. Which team is going to get that edge early on and carry it into the mid-game?
More pressure, I'd imagine, towards the side of MVP being able to really push it well in ahead, because it's pretty apparent that Asus.Polar, they just want their brew maybe to get a great timing on his Blink Dagger, really control the tempo, and just allow Illidan to continue to farm up. And, well, there is going to be that constant pressure on the map coming from your Spirit Breaker. I mean, even if you don't see it coming, the mind games are there. You just got to be constantly aware that maybe you don't want to be stretched too far out on your own. When Spirit Breaker's not on the map, you don't see him, he could be coming at any given moment.
Yep. Well, we'll see how it works out. Looking towards the late game, MVP Phoenix have a pretty strong late game lineup here. Warlock, nothing to scoff at once he gets that Ags refresher. Of course, PA can get out of control. Axe, and even the Witch Doctor, a support that scales well into the late game, and Disruptor. So MVP Phoenix definitely not lacking if this game ends up going a bit longer than that 30, 40-minute window we've seen most of these matches.
Look at this 5-man conga line coming up from MVP that could scout out Lil, but Lil will have the disruption. He might be able to the immediate upheaval to slow him on down. And now Reason gets in his face looking for the early body blocks, and now they rotate through from the mid lane. But the numbers still in favor of MPB for at least for now. They manage to get Lil back, and they will get that first blood. Now they turn their sights onto Mag. We're going to have a upheaval for the fences already. Mag going to be in trouble.
Doing so much here, KOTLGuy. Spirit Breaker goes down. It's a 2-0. DK Phobos comes in, gets the kill on Axe. It's now a 1-for-3. Asus.Polar on the back foot. Could they even lose the Wisp here? March wants to pursue, not going to find it, but what a way for MVP Phoenix to get this match started.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Day number 3, series number 3. Welcome, 3-1 to lead things off, and we're only about 10 seconds into
look at this. March isn't done yet. FNG's going to have to deny to Roche if he's not careful. He goes on in. It's a denial, but still a 4-for-1 trade.
MVP, man.
Oh,
this an absolute assault early on. That good early movement. Mind you, that was something Polar did against Fire earlier today. The early 5-man roam, they got that first blood on the Fog. Now they get that taste of their own medicine here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a great start. Let's go ahead and introduce some rosters now that things have settled down a bit. Radiant side, we've got MVP Phoenix. The offlaner will be 4Ev on the Axe. Ryzen taking Pelham on the Witch Doctor. Mid, that puts QO on the PA like we saw last match. Down bottom, March takes the Warlock, and that leaves Heen here on the Raptor.
On your dire side, it's going to be Asus.Polar, formerly known as Virtus.Polar. It's going to be Mag playing your Spirit Breaker. In your mid lane, it's going to be the dynamic duo of Illidan playing your Morphling, and FNG playing his prized Wisp. Along the top lane, it's going to be Lil Hardy going to be playing your Shadow Demon, and of course that leaves DK Phobos playing your Brewmaster.
Yeah, safe lane farming here, really prioritizing that blink timing, but Forev goes right into Lil Hardy. This could be another kill. Defensive disruption buys him some time, but only a couple of seconds. Ryzen with so much sustain, able just to tank DK Phobos, and a clean kill for MVP Phoenix as the momentum continues.
Another good grab for them, and the creeps were coming in, so the spins were going to happen, and now he clears out that creep wave, and very, very nicely done. Plus, you got your Witch Doctor right there, that little bit of extra sustain. He's already got the early level into Voodoo Restoration, which is already very good. Even just right at level 1, it's going to certainly help so much. And if this Axe continues to bring in a lot of early farm, we've just seen in so many games already how he can snowball out of control.
Yeah, definitely. Putting the Wisp Morphling mid, a 2-on-1, but PA very good against this kind of a duo lane. Wisp in particular, no armor. Those crits do a lot of work. And even the Stifling Dagger, pure damage, but Wisp not really known for his tank ability. Heen down bottom will get charged by Mag, but March on his way in from the lane. FNG tethered up onto Mag. They will find a kill onto Heen. Now March left behind. He's isolated, gets bashed by Mag as he takes a lantern to the face. March on the run, goes ahead and buys that Blade of Attack, so even if he dies here, uses that unreliable gold. It will be a double for Mag in the off lane. As you can hear, the home court favorites getting some cheers from the crowd.
Good for them. Warlock did have the boots, looked like he was going to be able to get away, but the one thing is the Spirit Breaker, that charge has such a nice low cooldown now that a lot of players prioritize getting that Q leveled up very quickly.
Yeah, top lane.
Yeah, a little bit of harassment there, and there you can see those illusions trying to work to the benefit for the side of the Polar squad with the disruption, but he is still hungry for blood.
Give him forever, more spin to win here. So the illusions can be a bit of a double-edged sword from Lil Hardy. A cask flies through, but will not find the bounces that Ryzen's looking for. So Forev still racking up the farm in the top lane, and Phobos off to a pretty slow start. When you put the Brewmaster in a duo safe lane, it's all about that blink dagger.
Mid lane. Yeah, lots of damage onto Illidan. It's going to force him to pull out the early morph. QO, it's very tempting to make that jump.
He's going to dive this.
There's the dagger.
Illidan's hanging around way too long. QO, can he actually do the damage, though? This could be bait.
Oh, he's fine. He's fine for now. Steps back. Dagger. Man, he is taunting him. And here comes a TP rotating through, and FNG shows up, and it's disaster. What patient play from Illidan, I have to say. Baiting him in, taunting him. Come on in here. I dare you.
Absolutely know his limits there. Absolutely knew it. And they will punish the hyper-aggression from the PA. Up top, now more initiation coming in here. Lil Hardy sets up illusions onto Forev, again giving him even more counter helixes, but they won't be able to find that angle to hop in and find the initiation they want. But, oh, never mind. Now they'll find it. That coconut bouncing around. There's the Berserker's call from 4Ev. The spin's coming out. Will they actually have the damage? Nope, not quite. Though Battle Hunger will help slow him down, and now he's going to be pushed back. Does have a healing style, but after that, they are running low on regeneration in this top lane.
4-minute rune to pop up. FNG is going to be able to pick up that bounty on the Wisp. Good for him. And that leaves QO with the invis there at the top. And yeah, small note, the Battle Hunger, getting the early value point. And it was buffed recently. Does more damage, I believe, over a smaller period of time. And something you definitely don't want to underestimate. And already potentially Forev turning the corner here, looking for the back dive.
Again, the disruption forces that onto himself. He'll have a few more illusions for the spins. The coconut bouncing around. There's the taunt under the tower. Shadow Demon in a lot of trouble. He'll fall. Ryzen gets left behind, turns on the restoration, but takes a crit to the face. They'll trade supports 1-for-1 as Brewmaster gets a kill up on the scoreboard.
Try to do a little bit of harassment as well on the mid lane towards QO here. And he jumps back, and they're like, oh, we'll go on you. Don't get too cocky there.
FNG in a little bit of trouble. Upheaval comes in from the Warlock. QO really wants this kill, gets the dagger up, but can't get the vision up onto the high ground. Now the waveform forward will not connect onto QO. He's getting healed up by March. Can they actually find this kill onto Illidan? Lil Hardy comes in with an aggressive disruption to stop QO dead in his tracks and makes the space Illidan needs to survive.
So much footsie play, like Red Rover kind of action happening in the mid lane, like, you want to dance? No, you want to dance. And then back and forth we go there. At first it looked pretty promising. They did force the rotation from the top lane of Lil to now come in be in this mid lane. And it looks like both FNG and Illidan are going to have to head right back towards the base. This does leave Axe and Brew to kind of duke it out mano-a-mano here in the top lane. And bottom lane, it's been quiet as of recent here. Mag's trying to get a bit of that solo farm. He is level 5, and he's put together, well, 11-0 CS. So not doing too shabby here for your Spirit Breaker.
Up top, initiation onto Phobos perhaps. Not going to throw out the paralyzing cask, though they are diving this deep. Forev just going to take the creep wave, grab all these last hits, and they'll pressure the tower. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, March gets initiated on, but Disruptor glimpses him back. I feel like Disruptor is such a valuable pick here. Now initiation right onto him. Illidan finds the kills. He waveforms forward. Not ready for this big rotation from Asus.Polar. They will get a 1-0 down bottom, but Disruptor great against Wisp, Morphling, and Spirit Breaker.
We'll see how much they can utilize the hero. They do end up losing him there, but it is just the support. And Disruptor, one of those kind of heroes, it's like, yeah, you can take him down a couple of times, but as long as he gets the levels, he has the tools he needs. Doesn't need a lot of items. Ooh, Illidan, nice little cheeky play to snag up that rune, the DD, and now they're looking to make the turn on the QO, who's going to be charged up. QO's going to be in big trouble here. Yeah. He needs desperation rotation work, and here comes Disruptor. He ends up blinking in, but Mag is not done yet.
Can he glimpse him back? Can he glimpse him back? Yeah,
no, it's
not
too late
in time. PA gets punished. Now Heen could get dove. In comes Illidan. Waveform into the tower. They'll find a double. Illidan making it back, but now the rock comes down as March joins the party. Top lane. Brew gets a kill on the Axe.
Sorry, action everywhere, apparently, all over the place. It's not done here for Mag.
Mag's in trouble. The Golem's going to chase him down. March, with his phase boots on, will cut the path. Mag, with a beautiful play, fakes him out, charges back down bottom, and the Spirit Breaker will live as he TPs home. Okay, thought those Alpha Wolves might get a couple of lucky crits there, but he'll be good.
My, oh my.
Things really erupting here, KOTLGuy. 15 kills in 7 minutes. Talk about early game aggression.
6-9. Giggity. And there we see Forev making the return. He's got his Tranquil Boots. Stun flies out onto Phobos here. Does not have the split. He could be in big trouble. There is a charge coming on in, but here comes a disruption to slow him down. Is it going to be enough time for Spirit Breaker to show up and they can go for their own counter kill here? Well, they don't get Phobos, and they're going to walk away.
Axe does have level 6. Relocate coming in. They really want this. They dive. The Witch Doctor find the kill. Forev still being charged. Illidan going man mode. He'll find the kill before the charge even flies through. What a relocate from FNG as they get a clean double and go right back to farming.
Beautifully done right there.
That's the FNG.
See you later, FNG. You got to go back to top lane, though. Oh, he's right under the tower.
Could this be a kill?
No, no one's close enough. He's actually eating a lot of damage.
Oh my gosh, 22 hit points. It's a little too close for comfort.
I don't think I've ever seen a kill like that. If it was to happen, glimpsing him back under the tower and then he gets rocked, that would have been intriguing. But not going to happen. He's able to make it away. And
look at that net worth chart, though. Illidan really balling out of control. This Wisp pick has worked wonders for Asus.Polar and MVP Phoenix, maybe regretting their choice to leave it in the pool. Morphling already level 8 and 5-0-2 in only 8 minutes of gameplay. This is supposed to be a late game carry. This is when Morphling is weak. Just wait until he gets some of those core items up.
Absolutely. On the side of MVP, March here on his signature Warlock. He's got his phase already. He's trying to muscle towards that Midas. to try to just really push towards that, getting a hold of that Agnum Scepter, and the luxury refresher later in the road certainly would help out in being able to break up this hot mess of action, and he could have the burst potential to really take it to FNG's Wisps. Speaking of the Devil, who does return to the mid lane side by side with Illidan here. And yeah, man, he's 48 now and 13 CS on him. And the next two, of course, being MVP.
So it did not come for free. Even though Illidan is way ahead of everyone else, MVP still looking strong across the board. Axe, PA, and Warlock, their 3 cores, all finding that baseline of farm. And there will be a little counter warning here in the mid as Asus.Polar gets some vision control. 2 sentries coming down, and now Heen says, you kill our wards, well, we're going to kill yours. The value sentry getting all 3 of the Asus.Polar wards here in the mid lane.
And just even though Illidan can dance in front of him with such low life, now they know it's like, well, it may look appetizing, but we can't do it. It's that wisp factor. It'll just be right there to be able to quickly heal them up, and they can make their own turn.
And something else not going well for MVP is this Brewmaster. They did such a good job shutting him down early on, but now Phobos has had all this room to farm in the lane, and he's been able to pick up a couple kills, and we were watching this big fight here in the Radiant Jungle. He got that solo kill on Axe, got the momentum back, and he's on point for a 10-minute Blink Dagger here. One more creep, and he's got it.
Yeah. It's a really nice timing for your Brew Blink Dagger, and then at that point, he can also get in on the action even more so. And here we go, lots of rotations mid lane. It's time to smoke on up. At 10 minutes in, we'll see MVP now make a rotation towards QO, who is under a little bit of harassment here from FNG. Now he's going to make the dive, and here comes the Cavalry coming in from above. Big drop coming out from the Golem, catches on both. Illidan going to be okay. Disruption on the Wisp to save him for now, and QO looking to sneak in and get the kill on that Wisp if he can. Does get it done, trying to bring Illidan back to the low ground with that glimpse, and Mag now charging in from the bottom lane. Focus fire there on Reason, able to take him down very easily. Nicely done.
Buyback on the Wisp, though. They're right back in this. They find the kill on Heen, and back in the mid, they bring down Axe. It's a 1-for-4 trade here, KOTLGuy. The buyback from FNG, completely worth it. We'll take a look at this fight recap, and yeah, Asus.Polar pretty happy with that one as they group up in the mid and look to pressure this tier 1.
Man, Asus.Polar very good at being able to converge. The second that things are getting a bit hairy, you see Mag charging in from the bottom, and even Brew getting in the action.
Yeah, first primal split there from Brew. A little quiet in the early game, but well, in the laning phase, I should say, but now it's erupted with even more momentum for Asus.Polar. QO comes back to the mid lane. Illidan again with this little bait here, staying at low health, but now the charge, waveform forward, tethered up. Cast comes in from Ryzen. Will they be actually be able to turn this around? No. PA goes down first. FNG ready to tether over the ravine, but Illidan, he'll leave him behind. Oh, there it is. The cooldown just coming up. FNG may still be able to survive as Illidan waveforms in to clear up the creep wave and make sure that MVP Phoenix
March
don't have the vision they need, but March gets him with the DOT.
Yeah, eventually over time, he was even looking to cut him off just in case he was to live, but the dot was just more than enough, and your Wisp will go down.
You're still trading a PA for a Wisp,
yeah.
Not too shabby for Asus.Polar.
No, Polar still continue to get the best out of all these engagements so far. Just very nicely played from them. This mid-tier 1 tower now on the side of MVP, very, very low, soon to drop right there, and I'm sure Polar going to be hungry to kind of grab up more of those objectives and continue to funnel in that gold, especially towards Illidan.
Yeah, 8-16 here at the 12-minute mark. Asus.Polar with a huge lead, about 5,000 gold, 5,000 experience in their favor. Pretty damn significant for this stage of the game. I was hyping up the Disruptor and how good he can be against the Morphling with the glimpse into Static Storm Kinetic Field. Morphling, a hero that generally doesn't want to go for BKB if he can avoid it. It looks like he will go for the Lincoln. Still a tool to try and deal with that glimpse.
So that Disruptor now has his own level 6, and we'll see how much they can be able to utilize that Static Storm and wait a bit for maybe a possible engagement. They have great AoE, great team fight to work with both him and the Warlock, of course, and with Axe hopefully setting the stage for a big initiation, which he is still trying to throw together that Blink Dagger. He's going to have it after this creep wave, and that certainly will help out, and we'll have to see if Forev is going to look to bring this game back for his team.
Absolutely. With the Blink Dagger, maybe they can start getting some momentum going. How's the PA building? Right now, QO actually falling behind a little bit. He lost a lot of that momentum as he's been knocked down a few rungs. 0-4-4 with only power treads and a poor man's shield. What an appropriate name.
Definitely needs to play the catch-up game. And bottom, you see Illidan already poking at this tower. Well, it's glipped or not, and they have not one but 2 supports nearby just in case. I serve you, Illidan.
Yeah, the 2 supports trying to bait this out as best they can. 6-0-4 on the Morphling, and now he's about to secure the last hit on this tier 1 tower. Asus.Polar kind of assuming that MVP will come to make a defense. You saw the Shadow Demon scouting it out with the Shadow Poison, but indeed MVP let it fall and instead try to pressure this tier 1 tower, though they could get punished. Asus.Polar making a rotation through the Radiant Jungle. We could see a big team fight break out here, KOTLGuy.
We'll see. As they wait patiently here, MVP busy, assaulting this tier 1 tower on the mid lane. No proper rotations coming quite yet. Mag seems to be reserving the charge for now, but with Phobos coming in with that split and the blink at the ready.
Illidan will just continue farming here. He's got his buddy FNG with him, ready to relocate if a fight breaks out. You see on the minimap the wraparound. Phobos wants to go from behind, initiate with the primal split. He is level 11, so it's a bit more potent. Comes in, clap, split, charge in from Mag. Where's the relocate? It's on the backside. They go for Ryzen. Warlock's already fallen. It's a quick 2-0. Now the buyback from the Warlock. He still has his ultimate, wants to get back in this fight. They'll already lose the PA. The rock hits, but isn't enough damage to turn this around. Here comes Forev. He's got the blink dagger, the taunt, the spins. There's just no kills to be had. Lil Hardy's still alive. He's going to run. Heen on the other side of the fight gets brought down. There's the dunk to get the first kill of this fight for MVP Phoenix, but the damage has already been done.
How convenient. Phobos just snags up a quick Invis rune and is going to make away with that quick hit and run.
Yeah,
very good for him
Mag
to grab the support, but on the other side, Mag,
away.
see you later, folks. Charges himself right to the top lane, and again, it's going to be Asus.Polar walking away with a much, much better trade.
Now looking at this recap, it's a 1 for 4, but 2 buybacks used on the side of MVP Phoenix. It's a huge net worth trade for Asus.Polar and, well, puts them about 3,000 gold up to where they were just moments prior. Tier 1 tower in the mid will go down, but hey, check out that bottom lane. It's Illidan and FNG pressuring this Tier 2, and it looks like they may claim a prize.
Now, MVP does ping out in the jungle there. They have that aggressive ward to see what Phobos is up to, and they're looking to converge. The golem's already out there. Goes the dagger, drops down the clap, but they should be able to easily take down the panda.
There's the dunk.
Done right there.
Still, they traded Tier 2 tower for it, and if Asus.Polar can knock down this Tier 1 mid, which is pretty damn low, they're running out of access points to try and contest that Roche pit. We haven't seen it yet, but Asus.Polar will certainly look to claim the big creep at some point this game. Morphling has enough for the Lincolns, closing on in. His farm continues to impress at about 9K on net worth at 15 minutes.
That's
I mean, look at him. He's just
ridiculous.
on the high ground. If MVP don't come back, he'll just continue pushing. Gets a little chip damage, but for 15 minutes, that's money in the bank.
I could have sworn I remember hearing that a 22-minute Lincoln's is a good quota. He's got it at about what, 15 minutes.
15 is absurdly fast, considering he's got Power Treads, Aquila, another Wraith Band, and a Magic Wand. He's 6-0 and 6, so about explains it.
Really, really good stuff. Now QO and Forev moving away from this top lane, maybe back towards the mid. Still struggling. This was going to be the hopeful big turning point. Forev being able to pick up this Blink Dagger. Now he has that Blade Mail, looking to farm up some Ancients in the meantime, but being able to really set the stage and turn it about. But every engagement, with the exception of maybe an occasional pick-off like that one on Phobos, just seems to be that Polar know exactly it's coming, or they're just going to be ready to turn things around, and they're just great counter fighters.
It really feels like they've just been one step ahead of MVP for the most part this game. That aggressive, and I mean, again, look at that. They saw Phobos get ganked right away. Polar come in, drop a Sentry Ward, and they took out that Observer that allowed that kill to happen. So even when they're not a step ahead, they still have the reactionary plan to keep things going in their favor.
Now, looking to work towards this top lane. He'd already taken down so much on the bottom. Might as well get things done on the opposite side of the Dota world. This Tier 1 tower is already very, very low. QO's here on the scene just in case, and he does have help nearby. So MVP could be considering a defense if Asus.Polar want to kind of converge and move on forward.
Looks like they're doing more than considering here as they rotate 5 heroes. Asus.Polar, not sure if they're privy to the movement or if they're just not feeling so keen on knocking down that tower, but they just go right back to farming and pull MVP out of their comfort zone. Tier 1 tower mid will go down, denied by March, but the access point still taken out.
And with that, QO going to continue to just farm up here and has to be careful not to overextend himself. If he gets caught out from that charge to lead things off, and could be very devastating. But on the meantime, it looks like they're going to smoke up mid lane here and migrate towards the MVP jungle, I would imagine.
Axe did complete that Blade Mail.
Two smokes
gonna walk right into Phobos.
Oh, quick blink back. Very nicely done from the Brew. Will be avoided, and the disruption going to slow him down. Static Storm
he gets
conversion.
the split off through the Static Storm. Beautifully done. The ultimate from Warlock flies through, but MVP in trouble. Ryzen and Heen both taking a lot of damage. Forev's already fallen on the backside. They're just getting picked apart. FNG may go down to the Golem and the Fatal Bonds. 2 for 2 now. Heen doing some ring around the Rosie. Nice kinetic field. Stops Mag dead in his tracks. Illidan still alive, manning up onto QO, starting to morph a little bit. Phobos back in panda form, hits him with a clap, trying to give him the crits. It's a 2 for 3 now, but it's MVP on the back foot. Charge forward, secures the kill onto Phobos. Or pardon me, QO. Now March. Looks like he'll survive. Still not the kind of fight MVP had in mind with that smoke.
That was two smoke gangs converging on each other. Axe had a good jump opportunity, but man, that quick reaction coming out from DK Phobos. That guy's a gunslinger with that blink reaction timing. Immediately just steps back, and Axe does not get the call he wants, and at that point, it was just Polar able to converge, move on forward, and just bully him back.
I mean, at this point, MVP Phoenix just have no way to deal with Illidan. Sure, you've got the silence of Static Storm, but frankly, it just doesn't matter now. He's 11K on net worth. The highest on MVP is Axe at only 6.5. Still just uncontested. 7-0 and 7. Gets the Tier 1 tower top. How can MVP deal with this Morphling?
I don't know. It's looking like David versus Goliath at this point between these two teams, with this Morphling being so farmed as it is. And normally this is one of these kind of heroes where you're just kind of hoping he takes a little bit of time for himself to be a nuisance down the road later into the game. But at this rate, he's going to be at critical mass about like 25 minutes in.
You were talking about 22 minutes to have Lincolns. He's looking at a 22-minute shotgun plus Lincolns. Absurd. Heen initiated on down bottom by Mag, but will glimpse him back, and the Raptor will stay alive for now. Deny on the Tier 1 tower bottom as Asus.Polar finish off that Tier 1 in the top lane.
Little Hardy finding a little bit of time for himself here in the bottom lane on your Shadow Demon, and
oh my gosh, nope, okay. I thought Illidan was going to go man mode there, not going to dive too deep, but still asserting his dominance, letting PA know that this is his block.
He does have FNG nearby, just that constant little babysitter. You know, Illidan, feel free to go crazy. I'll be there.
Yep.
I'll be there for you, buddy.
And FNG actually closing in on a mech. He has the first two pieces, waiting on that recipe, but for 19 minutes, that's much more farm than you would expect your average Wisp to have. If you combine the two, well, actually, never mind. That math is not going to add up.
Phobos here and company all making it work here in the jungle. Your drums up on Mag, and they'll smoke it on up. So
Lil Hardy leading the way here. Medallion up on the Shadow Demon. This could be a smoke to move into the Roche pit. With an early Medallion and a Morphling this big, they can't kill him once. Killing him twice, I feel like this kind of seals the deal almost for Asus.Polar if they secure a Roche.
Yeah, just the fact also, I would imagine that they just feel so comfortable being able to take a team fight. It's like, hey, you know what, MVP, fine. You want to come out and try to contest? We're ready to go. At this point, we're so far in ahead. Why not, right? And
seems like we're
going to have it converge at the same spot, it looks like. Ooh, barely get the vision right there. Maybe if Disruptor was able to scout it out, he could glimpse him right on back. But here comes Mag charging on forward. Says, how you doing? A nice little boop to the face for QO.
Still a few smoked up heroes on the side of MVP that haven't been revealed yet. Looks like Asus.Polar were a little bit concerned that MVP might be doing a sneaky Roche, and that's what that smoke was about. Illidan as well as FNG just farming away, ready to relocate if a fight does break out. They're continuing to move forward. They take out this Observer Ward in the jungle, but very close to expiration. Lil Hardy opts to just TP home, and Asus.Polar will be okay, pulling all 5 of MVP to not farm while Illidan just farming away in the jungle.
Now we have to think, what could be the turning point here for MVP at this point in time? Because you got your Warlock, who is putting together a really nice farm with that Midas being able to catch him on up. He's already got 3 of the components towards his Agnum Scepter. But is that going to be enough?
Hard to say, my friend. It feels like it won't be, but some of it is on Asus.Polar. I think they want to stay aggressive here, keep the pressure on, and keep this Warlock down. We've talked a lot about what do you do once Warlock gets Refresher Ags, and the answer is make sure he doesn't get there until you've done crippling damage to their base. So Asus.Polar, they can take a few minutes here to farm up their next round of core items, maybe take a little breather if Morphling wants to grab his shotgun. That could be a key item they'll wait for. He does indeed have the Ghost Scepter, 3,300 gold flying out to pick it up now. It will actually be 22-minute shotgun Lincolns for this farming badass.
Pretty good, I'd have to say. Pretty good.
Pretty good, you know. His GPM, which button is GPM? There it is, 600 on Illidan, holding steady at the 22-minute mark.
For now, MVP are just forced to kind of group together and figure out what is going to be the game plan here for Polar. They need to kind of put together a strong defense, but all the meanwhile, they need to make sure they continue to farm up and itemize. It's just very crucial for them. Obviously, wanting to wait it out for March to be able to throw together that Agnum Scepter that desperately needs.
Yeah, PA working on a BKB, but still pretty far away. QO just kind of a non-factor this game for all intents and purposes. 1-6-6, and we talked in the draft about how crucial it is for QO to get that momentum. And when he gets shut down like this, MVP don't have that aggressive front liner to stand behind like they're used to having.
Mag also looking to complete out his own BKB. He's only 1 recipe away.
And Phobos actually pretty damn close. So BKB's coming around all around. But I feel like for Asus.Polar, that's a little bit more of a game changer. Then you don't have to worry about the Disruptor with the big silence, the stun from the Witch Doctor. Still a lot of things that cut through BKB. But Yeah, this shotgun on Morphling is really, really scary. You look at this Radiant side, you've got the pretty squishy Disruptor, PA, has some HP. Not the easiest team to shotgun down in general, but given the timing on this, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage.
Illidan is just waiting for any sort of MVP member to show his face in this lane and then wants to go for a quick hitman mission. Just take him out and get the hell out. But he's not going to be so fortunate.
Yeah,
most of MVP mid lane.
Well, MVP all grouped up. It seems like they're just a little bit afraid to farm by themselves. So much pickoff potential from Asus.Polar. They're kind of exercising the buddy system here, keeping supports nearby, which is the right way to go about it. But unfortunately, it extends this window where Asus.Polar are just straight out farming them. They've got somebody farming in every lane. They've got Phobos in the jungle. Meanwhile, MVP, they've got heroes in their base constantly clumped up behind their tier 2s.
Yeah, it's just too nerve-wracking. You know, like I said, you got that Mag Spirit Breaker in the game. You can't really have someone just out on their own without having someone nearby as a backup. And even though they have QOs here trying to farm up this lane, look at they have both supports behind just in case, even the Axe.
Yeah. Now, one thing MVP Phoenix have done very well is get map control back. We're looking at Dire Vision right now. They don't have a single ward down on the field, and that's because there's just a mass of sentries all over the jungle, outside of the Ancients, on this plateau here. MVP Phoenix trying to get map control back and making steps in the right direction. QO uses his BKB. It looks like he jumped in the top lane, but that's your 10-second BKB charge, and now the BKB is on cooldown. Illidan knows it, thinking about going in, and well, just hitting him a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. A little love tap there. FNG goes ahead and TPs out and will stay safe.
So Mag's going to continue to farm bottom lane. He'll be able to have his BKB in a moment's notice. Or the BKB, of course, on the Brew. He's probably going to look to push on forward, get that AC, continue to build up the utility kind of style Brew. Very confident with that. And, well, of course, Illidan already working with Roche here. The solo Roche.
Yeah, solo for now. Again, the medallion's on Lil Hardy, and there you go. Comes right into the pit, and now this will be easy peasy for Mr. Illidan. And Asus feeling pretty safe right now. They see at least 2 or 3 heroes from MVP in the top lane. Everyone else missing off the map, so probably inferring that it will be a 5-man push. Again, looking at Dire Vision to see how much has been revealed. They'll see the Witch Doctor, feeling pretty damn safe. Uncontested Roshan. Now Illidan will have a second life.
Mag ready to party towards the top lane at least. He's got the charge already out on
TP's
March,
in.
and the TPs are coming.
Here
Phobos
we
moves
go.
on forward. They're trying to glimpse him back, but he BKs B off that glimpse. March gets absolutely annihilated. Forev jumps in trying to help be the tempo controller, but he is also going to get slaughtered. It's just a quick 2-man takedown, and MVP are just going to force to go on the retreat.
Yeah, on the backside, QO does find a kill onto the Shadow Demon, trying to TP out, gets blown up. Illidan doing the bulk of the damage, does actually go down to the Dire. Ends as a 1-for-3 trade. Teamfight recap not helping us out too much, but Asus.Polar defend their tower, secure Roche, and take another victorious teamfight. Now Illidan close to 16K net worth at 25 minutes.
Amazing. Absolutely great. And for MVP, a little bit heartbreaking here, at least in the early part of the game.
Yeah.
26 minutes in, and you're looking at this Titan on the other side, and you really don't have an answer at this point.
He is a raid boss at this stage of the game. They have to dump everything to bring down Illidan.
You got to pull out the third-party hacks at this point to take down this kind of a boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to get this tier 2 very easily.
Looking so strong here in game number 1. Remember, folks, this is elimination. Round 3 of the losers bracket goes in on to Heen, brings him down to about 10 hit points. Can't finish him off as Forev is there. There's the silence, the static storm, kinetic field, but Illidan, he survives the entire thing, able to morph, and just heads right back home to that replicate. Nicely done. Doesn't find the kill he was hoping for, but just showing us how tanky he truly is relative to the damage that MVP Phoenix can put out.
Yeah, if he wasn't so farmed, that would have been an easy Illidan takedown, but he's already got so much at that point that even an overextension like that is going to be problems.
Mid. Charge. Oh, Mag cancels it. Forev comes in with the Berserker's Call, trying to pull Mag closer to the tier 3 tower. He'll BKB and just runs right out of that kinetic field. PA on the outside of the base. QO wants to be aggressive here. Phobos does have a split, and they can take a fight. Glimpse back onto Lil Hardy. QO tries to go in, but the defensive disruption buys him some time. FNG with a relocate in. Illidan doing what he can. The dunk on FNG actually misses. He stays alive a bit longer than anticipated. Still falls to the tower. It's a 1-for-2 as on the other side of the fight. PA and Warlock got taken down. Now Morphling thinking about reinitiating. Tier 2 tower still standing, laying in some extra damage for MVP Phoenix. Now Mag charges over from the high ground right onto Heen. The Berserker's Call actually misses. Phobos comes in. A clap on 3. Illidan waveform through. It'll be a full 5-man wipe. And that'll be enough for MVP Phoenix to GG out and take us to game 2.
Illidan is a monster on this Morphling this game. My goodness. We got a lot of bloodshed to start off this match.
The absolute perfect reaction. The Meepo face.
Just like, what just happened?
Mind blown.
What just happened?
Talk about execution from Asus.Polar. An absolutely flawless game from the Morphling. And I would say borderline flawless from FNG. Sure, 4, 5, and 13, but some amazing relocates. So aggressive early on, keeping QO down. 12, 0, and 8. Incredible showing.
I'm just trying to like think back to the point where it just went so wrong so quick. A couple of really bad mid lane engagements, and there's just no point for MVP to shake that one off and bounce on back. Every time it was like, well, this is it. All we need to do is get a Blink Dagger and Axe, and then we can fight back. No, by then it's too late. Okay, well maybe if Warlock's able to throw together this Agnus in a good time, no, still not going to be enough.
Yeah.
It just was too much of a struggle.
Well, let's hope MVP can shake it off a little bit, channel their inner Taylor Swift, and move into Game 2 with a fresh outlook. That is a rough Game 1, and now 1 game away from elimination. Oh my, oh my. One thing is for sure, KOTLGuy, ban out that damn Wisp.
Yeah.
Do not give it to FNG, no matter what you do.
Yeah, definitely. MVP's been a team for, up to this point, allowing the Wisp to go on through. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you just ban it outright.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to have a short break, folks. Coming up next, Game 2 of this best-of-3 series. We'll see if MVP Phoenix will be the next team eliminated or if they can take it to a Game 3. You're going to have to stick around to find out the conclusion. Coming up next.
esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.